Hi, I'm Esther from StampinstaRcreations. I'm so excited to be joining the team on the Stamp Around UK video hop. This month's theme is masculine, so I'm trying my hand at some blending inspired by Teresa Momba from YouTube. I've gone ahead and cut out myself a frame from the stitched rectangle framelit dies, and this was using the 4-inch rectangle die. I'm placing it on some Whisper White cardstock, which is 3 7/8 by 5 5/8, and positioning it on a stamping mat so that I've got a flat surface to work from. I wanted to have a sunset look, so I'm going in with Cherry Cobbler, Calypso Coral and starting with Saffron. So starting with the lighter shade first and then going darker. Using these makeup blending brushes, just take off the excess first and then you can start blending in a circular motion on your project. Then working in the next colour, we're going in with Calypso Coral. And again, just take off the excess initially and then rub in the colour. I have got a smudge, but I'm not worried about that because I know I'm going to do some stamping on this project afterwards. Using then the 1.5 inch circle punch, punching out a post-it note and just to create a mask which will be my sunshine later, and using the same Calypso Coral just to go around the edge of the circle. Now, as you can see, my mask does shift, so just please be very careful when you do this to make sure that it is properly stuck down. Use the Cherry Cobbler for the bottom half, so I've got my darkest shade at the bottom. Now, I just felt like it needed an extra shade. I wanted it nice and dark like a sunset where the colours really fade into each other. So I bring on Blackberry Bliss to help me just add a bit of a darker shade along the bottom of my page. And there it is, nice crisp lines. Thankfully, with the mask shifting, it didn't affect it too much. Adding the ink first on the page and then putting the mask, it just leaves a lovely haze around that sun, and I think it makes it look more realistic. So I'm bringing in the My Meadows stamp set with the stamparator so that I can position my stamps where I want them and get a good impression of ink when I come to stamp. So placing down the stamps first and then just picking it up with the window, pressing it down to pick up the stamps onto that window ready for inking up. Going in with black memento ink and inking that onto my page, giving a good press all over to make sure the impression carries over. As you can see, because I'm quite close to the magnets there, it didn't quite come out, but with the great thing about the stamparatus is you can go in again. This also helps give a nice deeper impression of the black contrast and the silhouette. So just adding some leaves to the trees freehand so that I can get a bit more out of my ink by blobbing it on a few times, doing second and third generation stamping it's called. Adding a few grassy details around the pavilion. I wanted to ground the trees and the pavilion a bit more, so I'm just using a torn piece of paper and just coming in with the Blackberry Bliss just to create some more shading and to have some landscape on my picture. And wow, what a difference that makes. And just tilting the page again and coming in with another layer of the Blackberry Bliss just across where I've done the blending. I'm going in for the third time just to blend that all in. Amazing difference. Just such a simple technique, but I think it makes all the difference to the completed card. Touching up with a few bits of leaves and grass at the bottom. Got another smudge. That's the trouble with these cards. I always find with white cards I tend to get a smudge, so I'm using the mono rubber here just to try and get off that black mark on the side. So recycling the same mask, but this time using some blues and turquoises and greeny colours for my next scene, and this time going portrait. Now I do actually have a bit of ink which smudges on from the frame onto my piece of work, but I ignore that and just carry on again, working with the lighter colour first and then blending into the darker. So I started with Pool Party, then using Calypso Coral, sorry, not Calypso Coral, Coastal Cabana, getting all my Seaside names mixed up, sorry, Coastal Cabana. Using the same technique with the torn paper, sorry, to create a landscape. And then going darker and darker. So this time I'm using the waterfront stamp set. So the other colours I've used were Bermuda Bay, and that last darker shade was Pretty Peacock. So going in with the waterfront stamp set, adding trees and a mountain and just some speckles across that sun or moon. And then doing a double layer onto Coastal Cabana and Pretty Peacock just to set off that picture. So I really was enjoying this technique and I wanted to give it one more go. So again, this idea that I've seen Teresa do, where she put the frame inside, she did a blending inside and then she did a cutout on the front of the card. So I wanted to try the colour with greys and browns just to see how this would turn out. So going in with Smoky Slate first, adding in the mask and then bringing on Crumb Cake. Again, using that torn paper just to create those nice horizon lines. And then adding in a soft suede. It's a very earthy looking at the moment. Oh, I went to pick off the mask and it flicked off. So I'm just brushing over that just to give it a more kind of swept across look, as if it's sort of more clouds and things. So that was the inside of the card. So I'm laying down a smaller die cut frame on the front with the stitched rectangle framelets. So then you've got your framed work inside. Giving this a good crease to help my card shut. And then I've gone ahead and I think I must have skipped a bit, and I've already stamped on the front and the inside of the card, and I just wanted it to have a bit more detail on the front, so I'm just using the blender brush to add the colour onto the front, and I use Blackberry Bliss to add those things. So just showing you all the cards that I made for the challenge. Now please do go along and keep hopping with the other ladies and gents that are on the group and find out what they've been up to with their masculine challenge. Thank you so much for watching, great to have your company. Do subscribe to